James Creedon joins us from Media Watch. James, the Israeli army and Hamas using social media in terms of a war exercise.
That's right. That latest of online communication tools being used by both sides to get their messages across. They're obviously trying to control that message, gain support where they can via social media, an instrument that obviously goes beyond borders and all of that. So let's take a look at some of the initial tweets that went out. The IDF, for the Israeli Defense Forces, the Israeli Army, initially declared that this offensive was going to take place via Twitter. And here was one of the first tweets they issued. We recommend that no Hamas operatives, whether low-level or senior leaders, show their faces above ground in the days ahead. So clearly, warlike language. You know, this isn't.
So that's a clear threat, saying if you do that, you'll have the same fate as.
That's right.
The military commander that we wiped out.
That's it. No pleasantries there, and a quick, rather rapid response from the Al Qassam Brigades, which is the military wing of Hamas. Our blessed hands will reach your leaders and soldiers wherever they are. You opened hell's gates on yourselves. Now, one of the first things that is to be noticed there is one is a Hebrew-speaking country, one is an Arabic-speaking country, or an Arabic-speaking enclave, and they're tweeting in English. So obviously the intended audience is perhaps us. Yourself and myself, Mark.
Us, yeah.
And we're doing their bidding in some senses and getting that message out there. And that's, I suppose, to some extent, what they are hoping to achieve. Then you have images such as this, photoshopped, put together. Ahmed Jabari was one of the first casualties in all of this. He was the top military commander for Hamas and eliminated, right? You had videos also being uploaded on YouTube showing from a drone, an Israeli drone, how that strike actually took place. There you go. I mean, pretty incredible stuff. I mean, it's real-time war, essentially, via the internet. You also had Hamas, or Al Qassam Brigades, putting up videos of rockets being fired, which allegedly, it seems, reached Tel Aviv. So this is extraordinary stuff. We're seeing Twitter really being instrumental, either used in this conflict, and indeed hashtags as well, which is a way for social media to organise those messages. Pillar of defence versus Gaza under attack. In other words, how are you going to label this via social media? And that you could see that back and forth.
Okay,
online.
So on one level it might be news, on another level certainly it is propaganda, but certainly social networking playing a big part. The Israeli army and Hamas are tweeting, as also some of the victims are too.
That's right. Take a look at this photo, Mark. You've more than likely seen it already. This is a BBC Arabic picture editor by the name of Jihad Mishrawi, cameraman for the Middle East bureau chief for the BBC, Paul Danaher. Now that was his 11-month-old who passed away now these photos were all over the British media. That was top of the HuffingtonPost.co.uk website today.
Just confirm the child there killed during an Israeli airstrike.
That's right. And what I thought was quite extraordinary about this is you had the BBC Middle East bureau chief who knew this family, knew all about this, and he tweeted these photos. That's a photo of the 11-month-old Omar Mishrawi.
Oh, this is so sad, isn't it?
It is very sad. And what I thought was very interesting, this is the house where the strike took place, and this is the room where that rocket pierced, and indeed the 11-month-old died in there, as well as I think his the journalist's sister-in-law. So what I think is very interesting here is you've got a mixture of mélange de genre, as the French say, where he's the Middle East bureau chief, but he knows his cameraman, who was the picture editor, who lost his child. So obviously there's a personal element to this story which came through in these tweets, which he obviously chose to share these pictures. So a very bizarre story, a real life tragedy which kind of pierced through the PR and the communications that was happening via Hamas's tweets and via the Israeli Defense Forces tweets. And I just thought, what are you going to pay more attention to? A real story, a real human drama and tragedy, or PR on one side or the other? And this is, I suppose, the result of what's going on right now.
And of course, we see there the social media being used and manipulated in all senses there completely. But clearly, the image of that man holding his dead child, completely heartbreaking. And our thoughts go out to him and the other victims, of course, because essentially the war can be a political thing, but people get hurt, and that's the horrible thing about it all, isn't it? We move on now to another story. The front page of The Economist says that France is, poor choice of phrase given the context we've got, a ticking time bomb at the heart of Europe.
That's right. A lot of comment on this front page today, Mark. The time bomb at the heart of Europe, and they have a load of baguettes tied up in a French flag, or even a Hollande flag, a Dutch flag. Hollande, were they trying to get at something there? Because that's
funny,
the French flag
quite funny.
sideways. pointing to what they view as a sort of a quite, neoliberal economic positioned magazine. The delay in crucial reforms, Hollande and Mr. Ayrault, the Prime Minister, not being courageous enough not in terms of the reforms necessary. Just a quick look at two other front pages we've had this year that have been quite negative about France. The rather dangerous Monsieur Hollande, that was in April, and France in denial, that was back in March. So there you go. They don't like France's economic position, it seems, or its approach to cutting debt, etc.
James Creedon, as ever, thank you very much indeed. James Creedon with Media Watch.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, stay with us. So after the weather, we'll have more news, of course, and a further update on the situation between Gaza and Israel. The latest we have coming in, reports of more casualties, 3 Palestinians killed in the latest Israeli air raid. Stay with us.